Feedem is one of the largest independently owned businesses in the outsourced catering industry in South Africa. The company also has a niche cleaning division. The business employs more than 4,900 employees and manages nearly 500 sites across the country. In March 2017, RMB Corvest, Agile Capital and the company's management acquired a significant shareholding in the company as part of a leveraged management buy-in transaction. With me is Elnastien Kotze, the Chief Operating Officer of Feedem, as well as Genevieve and Phumi Twantwa. They are executives at RMB Corvest. Good morning. Elnastien, Feedem has been around for a long time. It was founded in 1975 and has changed a lot since then. Tell us about the company.
We started off as a family business, small, but it's grown a lot in the market. We've gained a big market share lately, specifically. We mainly about outsourced catering and then added a bit of cleaning contracts lately. But yeah, we've grown a lot, and especially the last 2 years, some of our targets with our new partners has been set high, and we've been living up to them. So we've becoming a strong force in the market.
Genevieve, this has been an interesting transaction. How did the parties meet?
It's actually quite an interesting story. The founders of the business, Andrew and Jeremy, were looking to retire and exit the business after being involved for some 40 years. And the universe of trade players who were interested in purchasing the company didn't quite suit Andrew and Jeremy. They were very keen to try and retain the DNA in the business, retain the brand and look after the people. So their advisor approached us as a potential private equity buyer for the business. Looking at the opportunity, we realized that BEE would be a crucial component for Feedem to remain relevant. We also realized that if the founders were exiting, we needed to partner with the management team to ensure sustained growth. So we concluded a transaction with Andrew and Jeremy where they retained a small shareholding with the idea of a phased exit. We partnered with the management team and helped fund their acquisition into the business, and we did a BEE transaction where Corvest acquired a private equity component and Agile Capital acquired a stake, which resulted in the business being 51% black owned and 30% black women owned.
Interesting structure, but normally when you introduce new partners into a business that has been a family business, how do you marry the cultures of the new partners?
Well, for us it wasn't a bridge too far to cross because RMB Corvest and Agile have those entrepreneurial backgrounds to themselves as well. So coming into a business that already had that entrepreneurial flair and was owner managed, we found ourselves in a position where we could easily marry those cultures. It wasn't quite difficult for us to do at all.
Yeah. And operationally, to have new shareholders looking over your shoulders, how did that change the culture of Feedem?
Initially, we were a little bit concerned and see, but it actually worked out very nicely. I think RMB and Agile is really good partners to us. They support on a management level. They support us well. The culture the marriage was good. The marriage was good. The entrepreneurial spirit and the way we think and the way we manage actually suited the two parties well, and it's working nicely. I think our growth is showing that.
The deal was put together in March 2017. What has happened since then?
The big thesis for Corvest when we entered into the transaction was to try and use Feedem as the catering pivot around which we could build a multi-service outsourced services business. Corvest has some experience in the space through its historic investments in companies like Servest and the Fidelity Group, and we thought this presented a good opportunity to build something similar but in the mid-market space. At the same time, to underpin that strategy, we introduced a high-caliber CEO in the form of Basil Larason, who has partnered with us in the transaction and with management to try and achieve that growth strategy. And so far it's going extremely well. The business has doubled in size in the last 2.5 years, created countless jobs and increased the number of sites it operates around the country.
The structure of the deal seems complicated. Does that differ from the other private equity deals you do?
No, not at all. It's actually quite a simple structure. Corvest thrives in situations where we can bring a BE element to a transaction, bring our own equity into the transaction, as well as fund management stake, or rather incentivize management stake into the transaction. So it's not very different to what we experience. It is our sweet spot and where we've done very well and exceptionally well in the past.
How was the BEE component included in the structure?
Well, for this business to compete effectively in the market, we realized that we'd have to have a company that was more than 51% black owned. Competition was getting stiff in the market. And so we structured the transaction such that Achille Capital, who is partnered and funded by RMB Corvest, would have a significant portion of the equity in the transaction. And as such, we're able to create a business that is 51% black owned, or more than 51% black owned, as well as more than 30% black women owned.
You've put together this deal. It seems like it's working. Where to from now?
Where to from now is we want to be the market leader. That's where we actually set our target, and we are well on our way there. The company is structured to go there. We are focusing quite a bit to actually add to our management structure to make that strong and to actually have some succession planning. That's quite important for us to take the company forward, but being the market leader is where we want to be in the next 2-3 years, and we're well on our way there.
And the exit strategy for RMB Corvest, of course, private equity is all about creating value. What is your exit strategy?
Whilst we do obviously experience some pressure to return cash to our shareholders, we are fortunate in that we don't have the typical traditional exit timing pressures that some of our competitors are faced, who have very specific exit mandates from their shareholders. We have the flexibility to drive this growth strategy with the management team, and we'll exit at a point in time when it best suits us and best suits the business. So right now we don't have plans to exit. Instead, we want to find opportunities for growth, and hopefully that'll include some acquisitions along the way.
How involved are you operationally?
Corvest does not get operationally involved at all. We agree a strategy and a budget with the management team and support where they require support, but leave day-to-day management to that team.
Elnastien, Feedem has been around for a long time. It's a truly South African company. It has excellent values. How do you see your shared values within a new corporate structure?
The first thing is the entrepreneurial spirit. It's part of our company. It's always how we run the company and how we want to take it forward. But other things that's very important for us is the integrity. That's in our industry, we're in the service industry, and we all about caring for our business, caring for our customers, caring for how we're going to take the business out there. But definitely the integrity side of it is a big shared value that we found in RMB and Corvest and the partnership with Achille, and that's the one thing that we want to take forward.
Who are typically your clients?
We sort of operate in 3-4 different sectors: retirement, big sector, educational sector, and then your corporate and commercial sectors where we run cafeterias and that type of thing. But big sector is the retirement and education. A lot of caring business where we actually are supplying the people's meal for the day. They're feeding for the day. So that's why we need to close to our business.
That's where trust and integrity is so important.
Yeah. It's and there's we need to build that, and our business is spread wide through the country. Our staff is not in one site; they're all different. So it's complicated to actually live it out there because the staff on the sites actually live that brand and live that value. So we need to do a lot of effort to actually make sure that values go right to the actual service, to the actual plate of food that gets served.
If I can add to Elnastien's comments, the reason we selected Feedem as the centerpin around building a multi-service platform is because a lot of our competitors have started out doing guarding, doing cleaning and hygiene, which are obviously people intensive, but not as complex as catering. And then they try and add catering to the mix and come unstuck. There's a complex food science element and a food hygiene and a compassion element to catering, which is perhaps not found in the other services, and that's where our competitors fall down. So starting out with catering has proved quite successful for us, and we've seen it in Europe and the UK as well. Where you build a platform starting with catering, it tends to go a little bit easier.
Well, it seems like it's a very interesting deal. South African company, it has been around for a long time, currently 100% South African owned, which I like. I think it's important that South African companies do well, and congratulations on the deal and all of the best for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.